we will considering how to consider a domain. Okay. Now, when we want to convert 3D domain into say simpler domains like 2D or 1D, we need to resort to the physics. Okay, we need to to resort to the physics involved. To the physics involved, physics involved, involved in the problem. Okay. Now, sometimes we can reduce the size of the domain. If you have a full domain can be converted into full domain can be converted into 1/4 or 1/2 or 1/4 domain 1/4. Please, someone switch off your mic. Someone, someone, please switch off your mic. Based on conditions, that is number one, you should have a geometric similarity, geometric similarity, or you have a flow similarity, flow or thermal or boundary condition, thermal or BC similarity. Now, to mention that, we had taken one example. What was that? A square plate. Okay. So I considered one square plate. The square plate looks like this. So assume that this is a square plate, even though lines are not straight, or let me draw the curves. Okay. So if this is the domain, now this is a symmetric domain because suppose this is a twice Lx for example, and this height is twice Ly. Okay. Now they are same. So this length is same or this length is same. So some geometrical similarity is there. Okay. If you fold this here, you get similar shapes. Okay. Same squares. So you have a sort of geometrical similarity. But that is only one condition. You should also have a flow similarity or thermal similarity. Suppose, for example, you have conditions like you have been given some temperature T naught here, some temperature T naught here, and suppose you have been given insulation boundary condition del y del x is equal to 0, del t del uh, x is equal to 0. Okay. Simply, Nasir, please unmute. So in this case, this is not a similar boundary conditions. Okay, because if you see the flow of heat, that is represented by the temperature contours. If the temperature contours to be here in this problem, by physics of by considering the physics of the problem, the contours would look like this. Contours would look like this. Okay, they would look like this. So here it will be 90 degree, here it will be 90 degree, here also it will be 90 degree. And at the end, they will try to maintain some sort of, this is the value which is little higher than T naught. And at all the walls, you will be getting kind of T naught value. Okay. Here it should be a perpendicular at those walls, and here it should be perpendicular, here it should be perpendicular. And it can be elongated like this, but perpendicular in this. Okay. So now you see, if you fold this, suppose if I cut this domain into subdomain, if I into say four domains, you don't see any similarity to the flow. Whatever the flow is here, it is not mirror image of this flow. Okay, there is no mirror image. Whatever the image is here, it should be mirror image here. Okay, this image should be mirror image here. And whatever the image is here, it should be again mirror image of mirror image here. So like that. If that is the case, then there is a flow similarity. If not, then there is no flow similarity. Okay. So when can be the flow similarity? Okay. When we have certain boundary conditions which can give you the similarity. Okay, that is the reason I similarity. That because we are giving one boundary conditions, we are saying thermal similarity, similarity general term, which we can apply based on looking at the flow problem, which can be flow of heat, flow of momentum, flow of mass. Okay, so fluid flow or heat transfer. Flow means flow of heat or flow of fluid. Now suppose we have another situation. Now I change the boundary condition from to insulation boundary condition to say again T naught, T naught, and T. Okay. Now all the four balls now have T naught. Okay. Now if you see, if you fold it on every, it is a symmetry. Now here is a perfect symmetry. Okay. Now it is a perfect symmetry here. So if you see, the flow of the heat will look like this. The flow of the heat will look like this. This will be nice. Okay. The, the flow of heat will look like this. And now if you take a mirror, if you convert it into one fourth, for example, or say one half, for example, you will see the mirror image. Okay, you will able to see the mirror image. Suppose this is a mirror plane. What are the dotted line? Then you see it is the exact mirror image on other side. Okay. Suppose so you cut into this domain. If this is the mirror plane, then you see there is a symmetry on other side. Okay, on this plane you have a mirror symmetry. On vertical plane you have a mirror symmetry. Okay, so that is the reason. You see, you can reduce this twice xy twice ly domain into some sort of ly and lx domain. Order of that can be considered. This domain can be considered for such a problem. So the and this can become our computation. computational domain can then become our computational domain. Okay. So when you are talking about domain, you have to talk about computational domain. Physical domain may be different. The computational domain can be a 1D, 2D, okay, or a smaller size domain, which and then you have to give appropriate boundary condition. So it has to have some basis. Okay, it has to have some basis. And having this small computational domain reduces the unnecessary time which we might need to spend. Okay, if you would have spent time on solving these domains also, this particular domain takes 1 hour. This again likely take 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour. So total time taken by the problem would have been 1 hour. Now we have reduced the time by reducing the domain in this way. Okay, so your domain can also be like. There is another situation of low similarity. Suppose in case of fixing problems, there will be a channel, and on in this channel there will be pins mounted, okay, or maybe a hit sources or like that, and they will be mounted in a very periodic fashion. Okay, in a periodic fashion. So you see, if there is a flow, then streamlines would look like this. In this kind of flow, if there is a flow from left to right, then there would have been the streamlines which will be looking like this. Okay, and they would appear same. They would appear same. Okay, although what I shown here, it will be exactly same what it is there. So it will look exactly like the copies of the previous one. Okay, so they will look like copies. So whatever reason you are considering here will again be another reason. Okay, so if there are many things like that, so in those cases, what people do is again they take a representative domain, which will be a shorter domain where there is a periodic similarity. So flow is required again after some length. Okay, so suppose this is the length for which again there are many other these kind of grid schemes or fields are there or some anything like that. Again, so there will be a repeatable flow. So instead of solving for a full domain, you might also go for a domain for which there is a one pattern. Okay, and for other this pattern is going to repeat. So solving this domain, so solution here is copying it. So need not to solve for a whole domain. We can solve for this particular domain and reduce the computational time. Okay. So this can become your computational domain. Okay. So this can become your computational domain, and this complete is your physical domain. Okay. Physical physical domain is one which you see when a CFD problem comes to you for the solution. Okay, but then what to solve is up to you. Up to you based on the physics of the problem. So that is the art in CFD. That art you will understand, learn with the passage of time, with the experience. Okay, you have to make your hands dirty in CFD, and you have to learn to do that. More experienced you are, you will come to know how to convert any problem into such kind of problems. Another very simple example you are and used in your fluid dynamics courses is flow through pipe. circular pipe maybe. Yesterday I showed you two channel. So then this is the pipe you already. This is without straight lines. Okay. For my drawings, and this is the axis. Now here the flow is going from left to right. Okay, left to right. So here there is a some sort of parabolic velocity. That parabolic velocity keeps on. I mean, initially maybe initially it can be uniform also. Uniform velocity will try to become parabolic. Once it becomes parabolic, you say that it is a fully developed. Electron it again remains the same. But if you have uniform flow velocity in the beginning, suppose you have u infinity uniform velocity given at inlet, it will take some time to become. So here maybe you will get a fully developed parabolic profile. Okay. Fully developed parabolic profile. Or maybe. Okay. Now if you see here also these are the velocity profiles. Now this velocity profile is symmetric about this axis, right? You see the flow is symmetric because you can see you can identify flow by using vectors, by using streamlines, okay, or contour plots. You now with the help of this profile, say the velocity at this y location or radial location. Suppose this is r direction, then you will say radial location, and if this is g, then you say axial location. So in the radial direction, from this point to this point, what is the variation of velocity? So at this point, the velocity value is 0, and it is increasing, it is increasing, it is increasing. That increase is represented by the magnitude, and at the center, it is maximum. Okay, it is maximum. It is some part of u infinity. Whatever was the uniform velocity, it is some part of u. And you get again the same pattern. Increase, then decrease, 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 and zero. So you see on this plane, on this axis, okay, on this axis, x for example, you have a symmetry in the profile. So this problem, this physical problem, this is a physical domain. This physical domain can be converted into computational domain by one half. Okay. So this is a physical domain. Physical domain. This physical domain can be converted into like this, one half domain. Okay, so you can consider top. These are the walls. These are the walls. So top wall. Okay, and this is inlet, and this is outlet. So one boundary condition here, another boundary condition here, another boundary condition here, and now you have reduced the domain by one half. Okay, now this is the full domain. Full domain now is converted into one, and you have to give suitable boundary condition. Okay, appropriate boundary condition. You cannot give wall boundary condition here. Here wall is there, so u and v is 0, but here u and v is not 0. So you have to give suitable boundary condition that is called as symmetric boundary. Okay. And symmetric boundary condition is also one of the type of Dirichlet, Neumann, and Robbins boundary condition combination. So note of caution is also that in many softwares, in many softwares, in many softwares, such as Fluent, ANSYS Fluent, ANSYS Fluent, they do not use, they do not use the names like Dirichlet, Neumann, and Robbins. But in the back of that, but in the in the back of that, they are of this type only. They are variant. They are of this type. They are of these types only. Okay. So these are three types. Okay. So whenever some people ask you in your interviews and anything, you have when they ask you boundary conditions, don't be specific about event software. Okay. You try to say about uh, the generalized, and then uh, you can explain what does it mean by symmetry, what does it mean by outlet, what is the outflow boundary condition, okay, what does it mean by cycling boundary conditions. So these are the names they are using, and these names are specific to the software. Okay. But in principle, all these boundary conditions are one of different type combination of Dirichlet, Neumann, and Robin. Okay, so I think this introduction is enough to make you understand about this. Okay, now next thing is okay. Now next thing is about now this is about the domain. Now domain also to be converted into small subdomains, right? That is called as so. Suppose we have a domain, then we convert that domain into subdomains by something which is say generation. We convert a domain into a domain by using grids. Okay. Now some small domains are converted. One big domain is converted into all other domains. Okay. Let me try to draw this little nicely. So there are various ways in which you can convert the domain into such a kind of domain. Okay. Now you can convert the domains where every domain should be of same size or some domains can be of different size. Okay. If all the domains, now suppose this is this small domain has a dimension small, there has a dimension now say delta x and say this is a delta y. Excuse me. Suppose this is a delta y and this is a delta x. Okay. Now, if this small delta x, delta y and delta x, they are same. Suppose delta x and delta y, delta x is equal to delta y. Then this is called as uniform grid. Okay. This is called as uniform grid. If not equals to, if delta x is not equals to delta y, okay, in all the region, then it is called as non-uniform. Non-uniform. Okay. Okay. Examples of non-uniform grid is sometimes in CFD, and we know from fluid mechanics that suppose there is a flow here and temperature boundary conditions are there. Now near the wall there is the development of thermal boundary layer. Okay. Now in the thermal boundary layer or in a boundary layer as such, there are changes happening from wall to the history. Okay, now here the core of the domain, or center of the domain. Towards that, there will be a sharp change from the, and that sharpness in the change will be very close to the wall. Okay, very close to the wall. Now, in order to capture those gradients, this big size cell near the wall will not be enough. These big size cells will not be enough. So, what people do again, they convert this region into very small region such a way that you get some sort of gradient. You should be able to capture the gradients at those locations. So you convert again them into some small domain, and rest of the central core domain where there is no large change, you can keep those domains as like that. Now you see delta x and delta y is keep changing. Here delta x is small, here delta x is large, delta x is increased. Now delta x, here both delta x are same. Here both delta x are same. Now here there are changes. Okay. Now delta x will still keep on changing. It's not same everywhere. Here also delta y is small here, it is increasing. So everywhere it is not same. So it is keep changing. So delta x is not equal to delta y in all the domain. One cell for one cell it may be same. So this is what this is for all the cells. You have to looking for the all the cells. Whatever I have written here, this you have to look for all the cells. If for all the cells, if for all the cells, if all the domain, okay, delta x is equal to delta y, it is not equal to delta y, or delta is not equals to delta g for 3D. For 3D, if the condition is delta x is equal to delta y is equals to delta g, and that we are talking about this Cartesian plot. Okay, if delta x is not equals to delta y, not equals to delta. So this is for 2D, that is for 3D. We call uniform grid and normal. Okay. Now there is another difference when you say about grid. It's called as structured grid and unstructured grid. Grids. Okay. And another one is called as unstructured grid. Unstructured grid. Okay. There is something about structured and unstructured. Okay, unstructured. Now, whatever the grid you are seeing here, that can be structured and unstructured based on this property. Okay. In case of structured grid, in case of a structured grid, we have this you can call structured grid. We have proper IJK. Okay. Proper. So this is some I and some J. Okay. If you consider location, it will be located in terms of where I location and J location. Okay. There can be I location and J location. They decided to each and every grid. Okay. And they are arranged in a very structured manner. Okay. They are arranged in a very structured manner. So you see, there is a good structure. Structure in the sense, suppose you are considering this point, ij point, this I point, it has fixed number of neighbors. How many neighbors are there? Number one, number two, number three, number four. If any other point, if you pick here, say for example, it is also having same numbers of neighbors. Okay, so it is a nice structured kind of tree. Structured, there is a particular structure involved in it, and every node has some ij location. Okay, uh, like that, and it is unique, and neighbors are proper. But in case of unstructured grid, that is not the case. Okay, it, it looks like structured grids looks like this, for example. So this is a domain, then unstructured grid looks like this. So they can be a triangular shape or they can be of any other shape, hexagonal shape. Those who have done finite element method, they know that triangular elements or something like that. So it will be most use this triangular element. Okay. So people are using triangular elements like that. So like this, you can have a tree. Okay. So you understand, right? What I'm trying to draw. I hope you understand. So all these will be triangular elements, and elements can be arbitrarily of any like that. So you see, what does it mean the unstructured? There is no specific IJK location here. This is very important thing. Okay, many of the people who are working in CMD, this they even do not know. They say that it looks like unstructured, so it is unstructured. No, in programming wise, you do not have any IJK here. There is no unique IJK here. Okay, no unique IJK, no unique IJK. no IJ system. Okay. No unique IGT representation is given for storing the grid point. Okay. Every point is called a grid point. Here also this particular thing, just a nomenclature to be mentioned. Here every individual is called as a cell. Now if you see this particular element is called as a cell. Okay. And this particular green one or this one, this is called a node. Okay, this is called a node. Okay. So at every node, which is the joining of the region, okay, have neighboring cells. 1, 2, 3, 4 have neighboring cells. And this is the vertex. That is called a node also. Okay, node or vertex. And the cells near to the boundary, those are called as boundary cells. Okay. So such nomenclature you should keep in your mind. For For this case, you have this vertex. Now, this blue color which I have shown, this is the vertex. So, for every vertex or node, this is a node or vertex. Okay, this is a node, is also called as a node or vertex. These are cells. These are cells or elements. Cells or elements. Okay, and the cells which are near to the wall, they are called as boundary cells or boundary elements. Okay, and rest of the things are like okay. So there is no IGK. Okay. Other thing is for every for this case, how many neighbors are there? If I have to count, how many neighbors are there? One neighbor, second neighbor, third neighbor, fourth neighbor, five neighbor. Now let us test it for any other element. Now say this element. How many neighbors are there? Okay. One, 2, 3, and 4. If you go to any other place, you may find that there may be small number of neighbors or large number of neighbors are possible. Okay, there may be large number of. For example, this point you have one neighbor, second neighbor, and third neighbor for this one. Okay, so you see there is no structure. There is no proper structure. That is the reason it is called as unstructured. Many people who work in CND they don't know it. So this is very important thing you should keep in mind. And nowadays, now we know now that we have types of system, structured grid system, unstructured grid system, and in structured grid system, you can have uniform grid and non-uniform. Okay, we can have a uniform grid and non-uniform. Unstructured, they are essentially non-uniform. Okay, it is you can make structure thing, but there is no advantage as such. Unstructured are like unstructured. Okay, now having said about the this thing, any question from your side? Anybody is having any question? I did not check the chat box. Anybody is having any question? There are other type of grids also. Those are called as body fitted grids. Okay, some other words are also there. But at this moment, I would like only to introduce with these uh, fundamental types of grids, which will be talking in the due course of time. Otherwise, we will start with some new topic. So, finite difference method. Okay. Finite difference method. Difference method for partial differential equation. For partial differential equation. Okay. So we now know that since okay, I got something other than that. I wanted to let you know. Rather than starting this new topic, I'll just say that on that. Okay, so we'll start this new topic in next class. I'll mention something regarding the breed only that I now got it. I think that is important before we proceed. So we are talking about a domain, and we will convert this domain into number of nodes, right? Number of cells or number of nodes or number of elements. You can call cells as also elements. So we convert it into. So say I'm converting this into some, and assume that they are uniform grids. Huh? So 3 by 3. I'm converting a complete domain into 6 elements or 6 cells. Okay. So there are 6. Now, suppose the governing equation for this is uh, this one. Any governing equation I'm writing. Suppose that is something looks like del u del p plus del. Okay, is equals to 0. So this is the reading first BC, and this problem BCs are specified here. BC potentials here on the surfaces, bounding surfaces. So plus BC, this is a we said a domain is described into domains 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. Okay, so 9 we have discretized into 9 cells. Okay, 3 multiplied by 3. So we have described into 9 domains. What about the equation? Now this equation is applicable to this discretized domain. Okay. So what we have to do? We have to discretize this equation. Okay. So since we are applying this equation, we have to discretize this equation itself. Suppose we are talking about ijk. Suppose we are talking about ijk system, and suppose we represent first node. First node is ij like that. Suppose any other node representative node. Suppose this is the ith node and jth node. I moving from to maybe some nx and j moving from 0 to ny or 1 to ny, or I moving from 1 to nx. Number of nodes in x direction. Nx is number of nodes in x direction. Ny is number of nodes in ny direction. Number of nodes in ny direction is 1, 2, 3, 4. In nx direction, number of nodes in nx direction is 4. Okay. Right. So you can okay. So nx ij running from 1 to 1. So any ij, for every ij we need to discretize. So this equation has to be discretized at every ij. this equation has to be discretized at every ij. This way, saving a document. So this this so this del u del t has to be discretized at ij location every nodes. Okay, so that is the one thing. And suppose, so how many equations? Suppose this is a one equation and one variable. For one variable, it is a one equation. You are solving for only one variable. You should have essentially two variables because two direction. This is not a 1D. Actually, you should have a, suppose we are just doing, there should be y also here. Okay. Okay, I'll leave the class.